The Frangie Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Hang on, I'll be there in a minute. I'm bopping around to Huey.
Is there any way I can give him my vocal cords so that he can perform
Wouldn't
again?
that be great? Wouldn't you? Because it's such a shame he can't perform anymore.
Can you imagine the fun we'd have seeing Huey Lewis in concert?
That would be. I'd like follow him around. I mean, I'd follow.
It'd be unbelievable. It'd be so much fun.
JJ, you know my Huey Lewis story, right?
I don't.
You have never heard the Huey Lewis story? Can I share it? Have I shared it too many times?
You should absolutely share it.
I do want to welcome you to the program, by the way. We got all kind of fun stuff to do today, so thanks for being part of it. A brand new sponsor today, my friend Zach Ricketts and the folks from Ricketts Electric, the best electrical company in town. If you need an electrician, I'm telling you, Zach is so good. We brought him out to our new park. It was unbelievable, the stuff they did. He's such a nice guy and a really good electrician. We'll use him for everything, business, home. The Frangie family will use Ricketts Electric. I promise you that. You can call him at 904-320-5960. Zach's the boss, Zach Ricketts, and he does a great job.
So nice, too.
Isn't he
Down
a good
to
dude?
earth.
Really good dude.
Great dude.
Really. So it's great to have Zach on and Ricketts Electric. Again, 320-5960, and you'll hear about them throughout the course of the show.
You still thinking about the generator?
I'm
thinking about the generator.
I am. I told Zach I might do that.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Well, yeah.
Because then the wife doesn't go every October. Do we have gas in the generator?
Right.
That's the question I get every October.
Yeah.
So I'm doing a college game, JJ. Tourette and I are doing it, doing Oklahoma State, Oklahoma Bedlam, right? And we're in.
This is the Huey Lewis story.
This is This is Huey Lewis.
I figured.
And so we're in Oklahoma City. We drive. We do the game in Norman. I think it was either Norman or wherever. Stillwater, yeah, because we did both back-to-back years. But I think this was the Norman one. Anyway, so we drive back to Oklahoma City, and we have this roadie that goes with us because he had this presentation and he had this big display. And this guy named Josh would drive all over the country and take this big Xbox display. It was an Xbox. They were our sponsor.
So not a roadie like a groupie.
No, just this
that
guy
was really a big fan of yours.
No, he was not. So, but this guy's phenomenal. So he drive. He's just this 30-year-old guy, drive all over the country and take our display around. He's kind of a crazy guy. So we're back at the hotel, and we're tired. So I go up to my room, and then Toretto apparently later on goes up to his room. Well, turns out later on that night, Huey Lewis in the news had been playing at some little arena downtown Oklahoma City. So they're in the bar. So this guy, Josh, our roadie guy, he's kind of crazy. He's drunk and crazy. He was crazy even before he got drunk. Then he gets drunk, right? So he goes, "Hey man, you're Huey, aren't you? You're Huey Lewis. Like you're Huey Lewis. You're like really Huey. You're Huey." And Huey's trying to kind of ignore the guy. Yeah, whatever. No, you're really Huey. It's like you're really him. And Huey Lewis is apparently getting annoyed, and some of his bandmates and buddies are in there with him. And anyway, our guy annoys him so much, and they get drinking so much, and he's annoying him so much more. By the end of the night, we're told our guy Josh and Huey Lewis are standing up on the bar singing Heart of Rock and Roll at 2 a.m.
I thought you were going to say they got in a fight.
No, they're singing Heart of Rock and Roll on the bar, and I'm up in my room missing the whole damn thing. Okay, so my Huey Lewis story is one I wasn't even there for, JJ. How about that?
Best friends forever. And he started touring with Huey after that.
Can you imagine? But it's a true story. Our guy's up there. I said, that really happened when I was in bed? Mm-hmm. I'm a dumbass. So there's that. Glad you're with us on this Ricketts Electric Wednesday. A lot to talk about today. Listen, Stefon Diggs is a good player. All right? There's no question. I mean, he's 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons. He's had a 1,500-yard season. He has a 1,400-yard season. 2 years ago, he had 11 touchdowns. He's an extremely good player. And he just went to the rival. I get it. Right? Okay, so I'm caught up. But, bro, you would think we're the Red Sox and we just traded Babe Ruth to the Yankees. Did you get that impression when you saw the reaction to it?
Yes.
I mean, the reaction, he's a really good player, and he will make a really good quarterback even better, a really good quarterback with Nico Collins and Tank Dell already has really fast receivers already. I get it. But I think we should go ahead and play the season anyway. I guess that was my take after seeing all the response.
I will say this, and I was actually relieved it was this because I was afraid the Texans were going to get Justin Jefferson.
Right.
You know, that was my fear all offseason.
Who's a great player.
Oh, yeah, and has way more of the prime of his career left.
Right.
Stephon Diggs is on the downside of his at 31. I'll be honest. I mean, I think Houston's going to be good, and I think they're better than the Jaguars right now, so I'm not trying to make anybody feel better by saying this, because I think Houston was already ahead of Jacksonville before they made this move. But I will say, and when it comes to this move, I wouldn't like this move for the Jaguars to take on basically I think it's fair to say a team cancer. I mean, Buffalo couldn't wait to get rid of him. He wasn't overly productive last year. He is getting up there. He's not incredibly physical. So when he does start to lose a step, I think the drop-off is going to come fast, and it may have already started. I wouldn't want to take on this. The Jaguars obviously are in a cap spot where it would be difficult for them to do it anyway without maneuvering some other pieces. But just for the sake of the argument,
right?
Like, if the Jaguars made this deal, I would not love it. I mean, I just wouldn't.
Yeah.
So, I mean, does it make Houston better? Probably a little, but I certainly don't think it's a blockbuster trade. First off, there's no first-round pick involved in it, and the player of note that's being dealt is in his 30s. So, I think people are wary of the Texans, and with good reason.
And that's
if I had to pick the division today, I'd have Houston winning it. But I was really, really worried that the Vikings were going to say, all right, we've lost Kirk Cousins. We're rebuilding. Would it make sense to go ahead and get 2 first rounds and 2 second rounders for Justin Jefferson before he leaves us in free agency and we just get a comp third?
Yeah.
So I am beyond relieved that Houston only got Diggs, who I just don't think is going to be with them very long.
Yeah, really good point about the Jefferson thing, that it could have been worse. I didn't even think about that, but you're dead on. You certainly wouldn't have wanted that. I think Diggs is a good player. I don't know that I'll go as far as saying I wouldn't have wanted the Jags to get him. I probably would have. So I don't know if I completely agree with you there, but I just think the fallout, not just Jaguar fans, the nation, the world, it looks like they're the Yankees that just got Babe Ruth. He's not that. He's a good player. Again, you have 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons. You're a good player. He's a dynamic player. So anyway, but that will be our shout today. We'll ask people in the second hour of the program. We want to shout out from you. What do you think about the Diggs? How concerned are you that Diggs went there? You still think the Jags are just fine? Are you concerned? That'll be we'll shout out. We got a lot of fun stuff to do today on the program. We'll certainly do that coming up. Brett Hastings is here. Sports and Courts comes up in just about 5 minutes or so. I wanted him to. So Kim Mulkey, the LSU coach, as you know by now, had threatened to sue the Washington Post over the story. Now, honesty compels me to report I didn't read it because I didn't want to go behind the paywall. Did you read it?
I did not, but
And the reason I didn't read it is because I wasn't going to.
Everybody said it was a nothing burger, so I didn't read it.
And that was the story, is that it wasn't nearly as, even though the author came out and apologized.
Well, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
That was a column in the L.A.
Correct.
Times.
Good point.
The Washington Post feature on Mulkey is the one that she lost her
That's the one she's
mind
threatening
over.
to sue. But the point of the topic, correct. But the point of the topic is, you're right, because the L.A. Times also had to apologize to UCLA. But the point is, she was threatening to sue the Washington Post. On what grounds can you sue? What really, and I assume it's libel because it's written, not slander, which is verbal, but what really makes it a case that you could win? And I'm going to ask Brett that. Brett's going to join us in about 5 minutes. I think it's an interesting topic, so we'll certainly talk about that coming up today on the program. We're going to have some Hays headlines coming up this hour of the program. Next hour, your shout-out will come. I want to talk a little golf tomorrow, by the way. Lee Smith will be in studio with us to talk about golf. Boy, a lot's been made of the Justin Thomas dropping bones thing. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
I mean, with all due respect, you just hired him a couple years ago when Mickelson didn't use him anymore. It's not like I was surprised. The stories came out, this shocking story that Justin Thomas moves on from bones the week before the Masters. I think he hired him in 21. 22, is that right? So 2 or 3 years.
It's not like they've been together for 15 years.
I was surprised the story got kind of the attention that it did.
Well, Bones is one of the few caddies that I would say the casual fan probably is aware of.
Right.
Obviously, he was doing commentating for a while before, so it wasn't like he was in. I mean, obviously, he's had a great run as a caddy, and probably will have more success on somebody else's bag, but It's intriguing just because of the time of it, for to do it at this stage of where you are in the season, where obviously you're not only a week away from the Masters, but you're a month away from the PGA and everything else that follows right after that. U.S. Open in June, British in July, and so it seems like if you were going to make this move, you would do it, more like in October, November, somewhere like that. So you'd have time to kind of get to know the new caddy, who I have no idea who. I've seen who he's hired. It was Cantlay's former caddy, but I'd never heard of the guy. We'll see. I think Justin Thomas is probably reaching a point of frustration, and is hoping that this a new voice will help kickstart some play in him. But I think it's unlikely that it will. But it's the timing of it is odd. I think Justin Thomas is really got to look more at himself than anything else, and I think he'll figure it out. But it's definitely, I think, it would be tough for me to expect Justin Thomas to do much at either the Masters or the PGA, maybe something at the U.S. Open once they've had a couple months together.
I think you hit it, too. Sometimes when all's going wrong, you not only look for all the answers you can, but you assume that perhaps everything is an answer. You look around for every possible answer. Well, maybe it's this swing. Maybe it's this in my short game. Maybe it's what day I travel into the tournament city. Maybe it's my caddy. Maybe it's my driver. So I think you hit it. And it has not gone well for Justin Thomas. No, it is not. And I started the season okay, but it has not gone well for him. So I think when that kind of happens, you kind of search all over. And I think that's what's kind of happening. I think they're searching. So we'll talk a little bit about that coming up.
I mean, you've gone through a lot of caddies, so to try and solve the putting.
There's no question, yeah. and they are clamoring to get my business. there's no fluff, bones, all of them.
Yeah,
there's just clamoring.
Right.
There's a clamoring all over to get our business up. I will talk some college football as well today coming up on the program. Graham Mertz had some comments. We'll certainly hear from him a little bit later on. What do you think of him? Well, I know you didn't like him at first, and then he had a pretty good season. So as you go into this season, not great, but pretty damn good. I mean, what's the consensus on Graham Mertz?
I was definitely wrong. I mean, I thought it was an atrocious decision to bring him in, and obviously he was incredibly efficient. And Napier's talked in spring about, now the challenge for Graham is to become more aggressive, hit more explosives. And I think Shane Matthews made a good point when he was on with us a couple days ago. In regards to that, they have to be called. So, I mean, some of that, and I don't think any of the reporters followed up with, will more of those be called for him? But I think he's a really good college quarterback. I don't think he's a superstar, but I think he's somebody that absolutely, if everything else is good around you, I think you can win 9 or 10 games if Graham Mertz is your quarterback. But if you have no defense to speak of at all, which is what Florida had last year, and you can't figure out special teams on multiple occasions, then you're going to struggle. I mean, he's not Cam Newton. He's not going to just single-handedly carry you and fix every problem. But if everything else is in adequate shape, then Graham Mertz can absolutely lead a football team to a very successful season. Graham Mertz, to me, is a college football playoff quarterback. If he was on a team that had the 18th best talent in the country, then he can get you into that 12-team playoff. Yeah. But I think you got to give him some help. And, right. I mean, last year Florida's defense was just abysmal. So I think he's a good player. I still want to see Lagway in the limited snaps running the ball.
Which you're going to.
Yeah, but if it's 3rd and 8 or more, I still want Mertz in there over DJ Lagway.
And I wonder, and we'll talk more about this coming up at the bottom of the hour, but I wonder if that could be a mitigating factor against this season that everyone thinks is going to be so hard. So we'll certainly talk about that in a bit. But no, I said this at the top. We're going to start with sports and courts. Kim Mulkey, can she or can she not, or would she be successful or not, suing the Washington Post? JJ, fire it up.
Now time for Sports and Courts, legal issues in the sports world with Brett Hastings from the Hastings Injury Law Firm. Hit back with Hastings.
All right, our buddy Brett Hastings joins us now. Brett, how are you, buddy?
Doing great. How about you guys?
Great to have you on. Doing great as always on a rainy but always a fun time here. Even when it's rainy, it's kind of warm and nice out there. Hey, Brett, I assume if Kim Mulkey's going to sue, it's libel. Like if it's written, it's libel, and if it's verbal, it's slander. It's probably not that simple, is it? But that's kind of my simple understanding of it. Is that correct?
Yeah, it really is. When we talk about defamation, right, libel and slander are both part of defamation, and defamation really is just something that's ultimately damaging to somebody's reputation. So if it's a Washington Post written article, then it would fall, under a libel. It would, be a defamatory statement. Go on.
Having said that, big picture before we get into this specific one, does that happen very often? Do people get sued for libel and they're all suddenly owed millions of dollars? Does that work? I mean, I never read about somebody got sued for libel. I hear about it, but I never read that does it happen very much?
Does it happen a lot? No. Does it happen? It does. One of the big things here is under the law, there's two different standards. If you're a public figure or a private figure. So here, Kim Mulkey, and if some of the listeners aren't familiar with her, she's the head coach at LSU, right? Women's basketball team. She'd clearly be somebody that we would say is a public figure. The really famous, case that's out there that even a young Frank Frangie or Hays Carlyon, when they were down at the College of Journalism in Gainesville, you learn about the New York Times versus Sullivan. And what it says is when you're a public figure, if somebody's going to sue you for libel, there essentially has to be like actual malice. And what that means is there's really almost a reckless disregard as to whether or not what was written, you knew that it was essentially false, right? Because the big defense is that when somebody writes a statement, is it true, right? And if it's a private figure, somebody, just a listener, somebody who goes about their normal affairs, it would just be the lower negligence standard. And so that's kind of one of the big things. And so when you sue somebody for libel, and if you're suing somebody in the Washington Post or, somebody that's written in the New York Times, you're going to have that elevated or that higher standard.
I have a question that's a little off of this, but somewhat in the same vein. One of Mulkey's complaints was that the reporter had been trying to reach out to her for 2 years. Can reporters fall under harassment? Like if a reporter wanted to call somebody 5 times a day, every day for 6 months for a request, but it was clear that the subject was not going to grant the interview, is the subject at all protected by the law, or because it's a journalist, the journalist can call whenever they want, how often they want?
I'm sure there was probably some point on the spectrum where you would say that would constitute harassment. I've never heard anything like that. I think it would be, pretty rare, if it were to happen. You go and do it a few times. One of the things that you want to do to insulate yourself if you are a journalist is to try to get the other side, because that's going to hurt, any of these things, and to give them an opportunity to, say what they have to say or to correct anything before it was going to go and get written. But, theoretically, yes. Realistically, no.
So, Brett, what happens here? Well, what is you've read it? You're familiar with all this now. Well, if she decided to sue, would she win?
I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to use the highly sophisticated term that Hays Carlyon, with all of his intelligence, said. It's a nothing burger.
Yeah.
After reading through the article, it was really well done. Okay. Most of the things that may not be positive for Kim Mulkey were attributed to interviews and to other people, and those would be the types of things that would insulate yourself. And you got to remember, when we talk about defamation, if we talk about things that are, quote, defamatory per se, that's where you go and allege and say that somebody is a pedophile, someone is a drug addict, they're a felon, and that may not be the case, or that you can prove that they're not any of those things. In this case, arguably the things that were the most potentially putting her in a bad light related to her positions on people's sexuality. And all of the parts where there were any discussions about that for her players, they were attributed to players who were interviewed and discussed. And for those reasons, I don't see any liability in any way, shape, or form, for the newspaper. One of the reasons that we have a higher standard, right, and especially for public figures, is because we want a free and open discussion and debate under the First Amendment. And that's why we treat private figures different from public figures. So reviewing all this, I don't see any way that you could have an actionable case where you would get any type of recovery. And I didn't see anything that I thought was defamatory per se. It really wasn't as much of a hit piece as I really thought or expected based on her comments prior to the article coming out.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I'm curious in terms of, let's say that the article is published with an intent to hurt, with an absolute knowledge that facts are being printed that are not true. So let's say it gets published. If the paper or the media entity then issues a correction, does that give them any legal protection, or are they still very much open to being sued just because it was originally published? Who cares about the correction?
I think it could mitigate some of the damages, but they would still have a problem, for sure. I mean, it'd be actionable. It'd be something that I would anticipate, that they would go pay on. And the one other thing that I think is interesting is there's one cause of action that's close to defamation, and that's false light, right? And false light is a technically true statement, but it's sort of presented in a way that's highly deceiving, right? And can cause some reputational harm. It's hard to prove. It's very ambiguous just the way that it is. A lot of that can have to do with timing and some of those other things. There was none of that here. I didn't think that it could be actionable, but I think there are some times where you can present things in a certain way that cause everybody to sort of believe one thing about a true statement that puts somebody in a bad light. But again, that's really technical, not something you would see a lot. But I do think time, and let's be honest. One of the criticisms that Mulkey had was, look, they're doing this before our biggest game of the year, right? And newspapers want to sell things. If it was defamatory, that would blow up damages, right? Like if you went out with the intent and you knew it wasn't right and it wasn't false, that makes the damages worse. So that's sort of the other end, other edge of the sword.
As we go here, Brett, one final thing I will tell you this. When I was at the TU, I won't get into the weeds of what it was because I probably legally shouldn't, but I was working on a story with another sports writer, and we were about to break what I thought was a pretty decent-sized story, and the people about whom we were going to write it threatened a lawsuit, and we backed down and didn't write it for fear of that. Now, I won't get into the – I have a very vague comment. You probably want to know, well, give me more details, and I really can't. But I guess the point I'm making, though, is publications – are leery of that. Well, wasn't it? Was it the Atlanta Constitution, Hays, that I think had to write a retraction of something they wrote about Georgia football because Kirby Smart?
That's right.
You remember? So,
but that was wrong.
Yeah, it was. No, yeah. I know it was, but I'm just saying. But Brett, I guess my point is, I think the publications sometimes are very wary of that. Are they not?
Oh, very much so. I actually started out because I graduated from the College of Journalism in a joint degree program between the College of Journalism, the Bretner Center for Freedom of Information down there, and the law school, and I was going to go and do media law. And so I, went through a number of the cases, and they very much review those things, especially in the biggest articles and stuff that go there. Ultimately, there isn't a lot of litigation that comes out of it. It's kind of a review type thing, and I don't know that I was going to financially make the types of things that I wanted to do, so I chose to just go to law school and not go through that program.
Right.
But the lawyers who are specialists in that, especially in these big papers, would all be a part of reviewing this, and especially after Mulkey kind of came out and made those statements, I'll guarantee you there was an editor, a writer, and a lawyer who all went through it together.
No question about it. Brett, he's great work today, Brett. Great as always. Brett Hastings from the Hastings Injury Law Firm. Thanks, Brett.
See you.
All right, good work. And I am interested. Does it happen very often? I'm going to sue. Do people sue newspapers and television stations, radio stations very often?
It seems like it happens in like the UK a lot.
Yeah.
Because I think their media is a little bit more over the top.
Yeah.
Than ours. So
it's because they don't have the First Amendment.
There you go. It seems like it happens there more often. I can't remember the last really going to trial libel case that I can think of. And again, look, Brett's right. I mean, when she started to threaten litigation before it had even been published, who knows if there were parts of the article, to your point, that the paper said, well, we're not running this.
Right.
We're not going to put this in there.
Right.
And I mean, obviously we'll never know that, but there's a good chance that something got left on the cutting room floor.
100%. I totally agree with that. Let's take a break. When we come back, the comments of we're going to talk more about the whole Stefon Diggs thing throughout the course of the program today, and that will be our shout topic. How much are you concerned about Stefon Diggs now being a member of the Texans, and how concerned are you about the Texans? We'll talk more about that coming up later on in the program. When we come back, though, I want you to hear the comments of Graham Mertz. He spoke recently, the Florida quarterback. This is 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Now
here's 1010XL's new lineup.
We're sending you back to the future. Buckle up.
Dan and Jeff in the morning. Mike and Tony 10 to noon. Mia, Lauren and Taylor noon to 2. Joe, Matt and Leon 2 to 4. Frank and Hays 4 to 6. And Rick and Hacker in the evening.
We invite you now to listen.
Frank Frangie here. These days, it's hard to know which companies to trust. But when it comes to banking, I trust South State Bank. South State truly values its customers, and they work hard to create meaningful, lasting relationships. I love going into my local branch. I see the same smiling faces I've seen for years. South State is the largest bank headquartered in Florida, so they're able to offer all the banking services you need. You can trust South State Bank. Banking forward. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Here's Linda Beaver.
Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet have just received a special allocation of new vehicles directly from the factory. Not 10, not 20, but hundreds of new vehicles with special savings that haven't been seen in years. Every new vehicle available in your favorite color and option as far as the eye can see. Plus, get our exclusive 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty with every new car purchase. Hurry to Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine or Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville before the best deals are gone.
With over 60 years of dedicated service, Big Chief Tire has earned Jacksonville's trust by providing stress-free service at fair prices. Frank Frangie here. Whether you drive an electric vehicle or a traditional car, Big Chief carries the best tire brands for lasting quality. Their skilled technicians will install them quickly and have you back on the road in no time. Visit BigChiefTire.com or call 904-932-0950 to schedule an appointment at one of those 5 Jacksonville locations. Big Chief Tire keeps Jacks rolling.
An ACL tear can be a devastating injury with prolonged pain and rehabilitation. Hi, I'm Dr. George Bari. I'm a sports medicine orthopedic surgeon who grew up right here in Jacksonville and then went on to train with the world-renowned Dr. James Andrews. At Bari Orthopedics, we use the most current techniques to get you back on the field with less pain and quicker rehabilitation. We treat all types of sports injuries with the newest techniques available. Please call us for consultation or visit BariOrthopedics.com.
Find out more at BariOrthopedics.com. That's BAHRI Orthopedics.com.
Mia here. Looking to spruce up your home or business for the spring? Window Gang's exterior cleaning services will remove stubborn stains, restore windows to a clear shine, and ensure your gutters flow freely. Call 262-7300 for a free estimate.
Beard's Diamond's most popular sale is back.
All wedding bands are buy one, get one free.
Plus, all stackables, all right-hand rings, all eternity bands, and more are buy one, get one free.
At the St. John's Town Center or at beardsdiamonds.com.
Dan Hicken, mornings on 1010XL, 92.5 FM. It's the blog players put their pads on for.
So we got to bring
my thoughts and observations on our home team. That's what I share with you every week on my blog.
Roland Reach Plumbing brings you Hays Blog on 1010XL.com.
Keeping your body healthy and active leads to a more vibrant life. A great place to do that is the First Coast YMCA. The Y is equipped with state-of-the-art cardio and strength equipment, plus group exercise studios where trainers host activities like yoga, Zumba, and cycling sessions. The full-court basketball gym and indoor 5-lane swimming pool are open year-round. The Kids Zone can keep an eye on your kids while you work on that dad bod. And it's all available with your family membership. Learn more at fcymca.org.
Visionaries, builders, and doers, are you ready to change the world? Miller Electric is your opportunity to shape the future. Miller Electric is leading the charge in electric vehicle technology with our state-of-the-art EV Innovation Design Center. We're working to create a sustainable future. We're also the proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, powering their performance at the brand-new Miller Electric Center. Miller Electric, we provide competitive pay, unbeatable benefits. Apply today. MillerCareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Prosser here. When it comes to the business of selling your home, there's one promise I can give you that will deliver, and that promise is ChadandSandy.com. That's Chad, A-N-D, Sandy.com. How do I know this promise is guaranteed? Because they say so and then they deliver. You see, Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. So whatever problems you think you're having selling your home, there is your simple solution. They're going to buy it if it's not sold for exactly what you want. Mortgage rates have lowered going into the spring selling season. Now is the time to maximize your equity, and you can do it with the real estate team of Chad and Sandy. They have a plan and the experience to sell your home fast for maximum cash this spring. John and Ursula in Green Meadows wrote in, we weren't in great health, decided to downsize to an easier place to manage. After 185 days, our home failed to sell. We went to Chad and Sandy, sold in 12 days. You can too at ChadandSandy.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
It's a Ricketts Electric Wednesday on the Frangie Show. Ricketts Electric, the power connection you can trust.
They always tell me be judicious, not cautious with the football. Calculated risks, understanding leverage, and there's so many layers to it. But the biggest thing is it all comes down to communication. And if I can get us in the right protection, get everything picked up, get everybody thinking the same thing, and that comes back to taking extra time to meet with the receivers. Based on this coverage, you can kind of lean in a little bit to the post. So there's so many details that go into it, but yeah, that's definitely been a point of emphasis.
Those are the comments of Graham Mertz, a Florida quarterback. You're listening to the Guess Who, Burton Cummings and Company, Hays Carlyon from the Bowl School. Why? Because we're giving away 2 tickets. Give me caller 3 right now. It's 641-1010, and you're going to see the Guess Who April 11th at Florida Theater. Would you go to see the Guess Who? Would you care at all?
Absolutely.
I mean, they're fantastic.
Baloo had their drummer on last night.
Isn't that great? And Baloo is a big Guess Who fan, by the way. I mean, like a gigantic fan of the Guess Who. So Guess Who's very good. They're coming April 11th, and I may wander over there myself, as a matter of fact, coming up in about a week or so. So the Guess Who will be at the Florida Theater, and that is really kind of cool stuff. It's a Ricketts Electric Wednesday. We told you all the time, Ricketts Electric. If you need an electrician, this is the number to know, 904-320-5960. Again, Zach did so much stuff at our new ballpark. He's going to be our personal family, Frangie family electrician. I promise you that. 904-320-5960. That's Ricketts Electric. So we played the comments of Graham Mertz. You know by now that Billy Napier's on the hottest of the hot seats, and they haven't been good for a while, and now they've got to play this brutal schedule, and everyone thinks he's probably going to get fired. Right or no, that's kind of the story. But and he's got DJ Lagway, this all-world recruit who's going to one day be their quarterback. But I will tell you this. The one mitigating factor, and I do believe possibly it is one, Graham Mertz has started 44 games in college. That's a lot of starts. I doubt he will play against anybody with that many starts. Jackson Dart's got a bunch. He's going to play against him. But I doubt that Carson Beck's a good player, a better player, but doesn't have this many starts. Cam Ward's a very good player who will be at Miami, but it'll be his first game for Miami, first game in that offense, all new coordinators, all new stuff. I do think college quarterback matters, and I wonder if him having all that experience and a full-year experience in that offense, and now he's got Chimere Dike, who was one of his favorite receivers at Wisconsin, there with him. Can that be a mitigating factor that turns what everybody expects to be a 5-7 team into a 7 or 8 win team? The fact that they've got this guy that's played so much football?
Absolutely, if they can get stops. I mean, again, if Graham Mertz doesn't have to score 42 to win every game, then yeah I think Graham Mertz is not the problem. He is absolutely an asset for Florida. It was a good move by Billy Napier to go get him. Again, I thought it was a huge mistake. I was wrong. And I'm excited to see what Graham Mertz can do in year 2. I mean, you talked about the comfort zone for some of the other quarterbacks on Florida's schedule, where Graham Mertz has the ultimate comfort zone. He's now in year 2. He is obviously very familiar with his teammates, with what his coaches expect of him, and everything that goes in. He's not having to become a leader. He is the leader. And so I think Graham Mertz can have a very quality season. But they're still going to go 5-7 if they're going to give up 32 points per game.
Right.
So
the point being, if he's throwing 45 passes a game to try and keep up, they lose.
They lose. And
here's why: because everybody loses.
Yeah, but I'm convinced if you took Carson Beck off of Georgia and put Graham Mertz on Georgia, they'd still be one of the best teams in college football. Now they may not be as good because I agree with you. I think Carson Beck's a better player. But if you put Graham Mertz on a team like that, if Graham Mertz was the Ohio State quarterback, they would be a top 5 team. I mean, he's not the problem for Florida at all. It's I think you can talk about play calling is maybe suspect at times, particularly when Billy Napier elects to run trick plays. You can certainly question, do they have enough at receiver? Can they protect Graham Mertz? Things like that. And we've talked, obviously, at length about the horror show that's the Florida defense, that has been the Florida defense. But if everything around him is improved, then Florida absolutely can be a surprise team because they're going to get quality quarterback play. They have a quarterback that does not turn the ball over. And I do think Lagway will be able to help them as a runner.
Let me rewind the tape. I'm going to rewind the tape 4 years to 2020. You got Kyle Pitts and Tony and all those other guys. You got Dan Mullen calling the plays. Your defense is reasonably good, if not great. And you have Mertz, the 44 start Mertz, instead of Kyle Trask. How different is it?
Not different really to me much at all. I mean, I think Trask is better, but I don't think it's by leaps and bounds.
But they'd have been good.
They'd have absolutely been good.
I think Trask is better too. I'm a big Trask fan, even though he hasn't got much of a chance in the NFL. But I'm a big Trask fan, a big fan of what he was that year. But I do think, like you do, if you rewound the tape and everything was the same except for this Graham Mertz went in there, it would be kind of similar. I think maybe not identical, Hays, but there would have been some real similarities because when guys are open, two things about Mertz. He's going to make the right choice almost all of the time. And if guys are open at the mid-level at least, he's going to hit them. Does he have – now, Trask had a pretty big arm. Does he have the big arm? We don't know because that just wasn't in play. Whether it's because he was afraid to try it, whether it's because it wasn't called, or whether it was because guys weren't open down the field, we just didn't see the ball down the field very often. But as far as mid-range throws, he's going to choose the right ones and hit the guy kind of like Trask and guys like that did.
If you look at what Mertz did last season with a lot of dysfunction and no help from his defense, he completed 73% of his passes, 20 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. So he was plus 17 on his touchdowns to interceptions. That's a quantum leap from what he was prior to getting to Florida, and Billy Napier does deserve credit for that. You know, I mean, obviously we're critical of Billy Napier, but he took a quarterback out of the portal that in terms of touchdown passes to interceptions, in 2020 he threw 9 touchdowns to 5 picks in limited time, so plus 4. His following year, he was 10 touchdown passes, 11 picks, so he was minus 1. Then his final year at Wisconsin, he was 19 touchdown passes, 10 picks, so he was plus 9. So he went from plus 9 to plus 17 at Florida, and his completion percentage went up by 16. So, again, if he can keep the efficiency and limit the mistakes, and a couple of those interceptions, 2 of the 3, I know for a fact hit a receiver in the hands and were picked off. So it's not like he made an array of bad decisions. I mean, he probably could have gotten away with only throwing 1 pick. So if the touchdown passes can come up, if he stays under 5 interceptions and he stays around 70% completion, if Florida produces even an above-average defense, they're going to be a tough out. Now, the schedule is so brutal. I'm not going to sit here and say, they're going to go 10-2 because I think they don't have much of a chance to beat Georgia. And you go through the rest of the lineup. I mean, basically every game is a losable game other than Samford. But I do think that they have the recipe for efficient play at quarterback, protecting the ball, and if they had a strong defense, I think that would be a good path to a spot in the 12-team playoff as one of the final teams in. but I just don't think the defense is going to – I don't expect them to jump from pathetic to above average in one offseason. So I still think they're going to have defensive issues. And I do have questions about Napier. I have questions about the talent around Graham Mertz offensively. And so I think there's a lot of things are going to have to go right around Graham Mertz, but in terms of how Florida fans should feel about their quarterback, I think they should feel confident.
You got a lot of questions. I got one question. We have headlines?
We do. We're ready.
You give me a headline on a Wednesday? I mean, I like headlines any day, but you give me a headline on a Wednesday? That's good stuff. Take a break. It's a Ricketts Electric Wednesday. Hays' headlines are next. Stay with us.
It's the ride home with the Frangie Show. From the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
No, 1010XL takes you inside the program director's office with Dan and Jeff.
You trade paint one more time, you so much as touch. I'm going to black flag the two of you.
Mornings
I'm not going to take that personally.
on 1010XL.
Nimnick Chevrolet is Northeast Florida's Silverado truck headquarters. Frank Frangie here. With new shipments arriving daily, Nimnick Chevrolet has the best selection of Silverado trucks on the ground in town. Nimnick Chevrolet is conveniently located on the corner of Park and Cassett Avenue or online at nimnickchevy.com. Nimnick Chevrolet is family-owned and operated. No one cares more about their customers before and after the sale. That's Nimnick, your friends in the car business since 1941. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
I'm Holt Harrell. I was talking to someone the other day and they were shocked that some lawyers get more from a case than their own client. After paying bills and costs, if we are supposed to get more than a client, we won't. That's the Harrell and Harrell promise. When we say that we treat our clients like family, we mean it. If you've been in an accident, call us today. 251-1111. Harrell and Harrell. Offices, Jacksonville.
Ready for a heating and air company that's just as local as your favorite coffee shop? That's Bold City Heating and Air. Jacksonville grown, family owned and operated, and not bought out by the out-of-town big guys. And with transparent pricing, you'll know the costs up front, with options to choose from, backed by Bold City's satisfaction guarantee. And rest assured, Bold City Techs will treat your home with white glove service. You can be comfortable today. Visit boldcityac.com.
If you need an insurance agent, I'll recommend the best guy in town, State Farm agent Craig Dewhurst. Call him at 940-9740. Really good guy, really good agent. Life insurance, homeowners, automotive, you name it, he'll handle it for you. Tell him what you need. He'll assess your whole situation. What kind of coverage do you need? How much coverage? What should your deductible be? What do you make and how does it fit your cost and your rates? You will love dealing with Craig. What a nice guy he is and how he'll help you get the right answers. The best in the business. Craig Dewhurst from State Farm, 940-9740.
Hey, it's Matt Hays. You've heard me praising the quick and easy process of Awaken 180 weight loss. It begins with fitting into clothes you haven't worn in years. Or better yet, buying new clothes because those you have don't fit anymore. Or tightening your belt and realizing you're out of holes. Or running on the treadmill, or on the beach, or lifting weights like you once did. Or someone seeing you for the first time in months and saying, wow, I don't even recognize you. Or your health drastically changes. Who doesn't want that? The transformation from old to new is the finish line, and Awaken 180 Weight Loss gets you there faster, safer, and easier than any other weight loss program. You're healthy, you're happy, you've made a paradigm life shift. I want everyone to know how easy losing weight can be with Awaken 180 Weight Loss. If I can do it, if Mike Dempsey and Hacker can do it, if more than 21,000 others can do it, you can too. Get your plan, get your personal coach, and get your results by doing what we all did. Choose the solution for weight loss, Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Call 844-346-1800, 844-346-1800, or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
PRP treatment is kind of the thing these days, and in many cases, it eliminates the need for surgery. This is Sheridan Tootin, and my experience with PRP from Southeast Orthopedic Specialist has been nothing short of great. I'm really feeling much better now. Ask your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist doctor about PRP treatment.
This is Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, where athletes are treated like pros.
Relieve pain and get back to life. SOS. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Have a better morning drive with Brunch with the Tour.
Tour news, tips, and inside info.
Your highly technical golf terms, you'll use them on your very first lesson.
Brought to you by
Clearwater Irrigation, 8:30 Tuesday morning on 1010XL.
Best Bet is number one. That's right. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and St. Augustine have one-card poker. The fastest and easiest card game to learn and play. Play one card at a time, and the highest card wins even money. If the card values are the same, it's time for war. Just like the game you remember. You must be 18 years or older to play. More at bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
I'm just happy to have a roof over my head. You've heard that saying a bunch, probably through the years, but what if it leaks? That's never good. Who do you call? How can you be sure they're any good? Who to trust? Well, remember this. Preferred Roofing guarantees to educate and inform their customers on such a big decision as replacing a roof. Let their consultants help you make an informed choice that you're sure to feel good about. Master Elite Certified Contractors, Preferred Roofing is who you need to call. Tell them Joe C. sent you.
What's changed totally inside and out? The Kuhn Flowers massive storefront, and yes, they've totally remodeled the showroom inside too. This is Frank Frangie, and the next time you drive by, stop and smell the roses at Kuhn Flowers.
Looking for a new or used firearm? Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacks Beach will get you locked and loaded. New firearms coming in weekly, and always looking for used guns. No lines and no waiting. Online at beachesjewelryandpawn.com.
Planning for spring at Lowe's means big savings on outdoor power equipment, and Lowe's knows nothing feels better than free. Buy one select Ego string trimmer, leaf blower, or mower kit. Get one select 56-volt battery free. That's up to a $299 value. Power through spring with Ego, the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power. Because Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 4/3 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Gather round.
It's Hays' Headlines, presented by Harrell & Harrell. Don't settle for less than you deserve. Hear all about it. Here's Hays Carlyon.
All right, welcome back to the Frangie Show. Frank Frangie, JJ LaSelva, Hays Carlyon with you. Appreciate our good buddies at Harrell & Harrell for sponsoring Hays' Headlines. Let's get right into it. Frank, this
love a headline.
This concerns us here.
Okay.
In something we're very much going through, but did you see the news coming out of Kansas City? The Chiefs may be looking for a new city. So the public,
right?
They put it to a referendum, which we've talked about the danger of that before.
Yes.
And the public struck it down. The renovation plan for Arrowhead, this also deals with the Royals as well, but they wanted to extend the sales tax. They put it to a vote. It only got 41% approval. So now there is real concern about the Chiefs' future in Kansas City.
Can you imagine the Kansas City Chiefs leaving? The
It's
best
incredible.
team in football, and St. Louis being right next door and not having a team. That's the thing. I don't think the Chiefs are going to leave. But never put it to a referendum.
No.
Not just football. Never put opera or
Anything.
symphony, because there's too many people that aren't fans of it, including football. So never. What a dumb decision. Look, listen. I don't think the Chiefs will leave. All right. I'm not sure the Royals won't leave though, because baseball's always Nashville's waiting to have a baseball team. They're dying to have a baseball team. And I don't think the Chiefs will leave, but it's interesting that St. Louis is right next door.
I think this is a great example for our leadership here. And I don't have any doubts. I mean, I have full confidence.
I do too.
But you have to be a strong leader. And that requires making these kind of decisions and not leaving it up to a public referendum. So anyway, it will be interesting to see what happens with the Chiefs in Kansas City. This is such a feel-good story. So Bob Uecker, who got robbed out of an Oscar for Major League, is still doing Milwaukee Brewers games. He's the play-by-play guy. Started his 54th year doing it. He's 90 years old, but his 54th year calling Brewers games yesterday. Here's some great audio that JJ has for us.
A standing ovation for Bob Uecker in the radio booth. 54th home opener in his career, 90 years young.
One of a kind, isn't he?
Ready to work. Here it is. Line to right center. Get up! Get out! Gone! Jackson Chorion just took one out of here. big leagues. Welcome, Jackson Chourio, to the home run derby as a major leaguer.
That's Euchre calling.
God bless him.
How does that not make you smile?
He's not. You know what? I was smiling the whole time.
Yeah.
God bless him. He's 90 years old, and he's still the best. He
Sounds
still
great,
sounds
yeah.
great. He sounds. He's got charm. He's got charisma. He knows the game. He's 90 years old. Wow. That's a great story. Great story.
We're not sure where Vaughn played last season, but I'm sure he did a heck of a job. Yeah, I love Bob Uecker.
And by the way, just so you know, I agree with Hays. He got cheated out. He got cheated out of the Oscar, not for best supporting actor, for best actor. Okay,
Yes, of all time.
There you go.
Oh, man. FAU losing a couple superstars in the portal after their Final Four run a year ago. I thought, well, maybe the whole team would leave. They didn't. They stuck with Dusty May and had a decent year this year, but probably a little disappointing considering. So Dusty May off to Michigan, as we know. Well, John L. Davis and Vlad Golden have both entered the portal. Davis may be the best player in the portal. 6'4" shooting guard, averaged 18.2 points per game, 6.3 rebounds, and 3 assists for FAU last year. Vlad Golden is a 7'1", 240-pound center, averaged 15.7 points a game, 6.9 rebounds. So two really interesting guys in the portal now in college basketball.
Both will be very sought after. Golden isn't quite the skill player, but you can't find 7-foot guys. Look, it was a wonderful run. The run's over. Dusty May came back. They were just okay this year by their standards. He's gone to Michigan. With mid-majors, your window's short, and that window. It was a great run for FAU. It really was. But FAU's become ordinary again, I can promise.
Eric Musselman might be the leading candidate at USC. Is that a good move, going from Arkansas to USC in men's basketball?
How about Andy Enfeld going from USC to SMU?
Yeah.
That was the surprise to me, is that Andy Enfeld, the one-time Florida Gulf Coast coach, who was at USC for a long time, left USC in the Big Ten to go to SMU. That, to me,
the ACC.
Yeah, SMU's in the ACC. I was trying to think they're in the ACC now. That's the story that surprised me. Musselman, I think so. I still think USC can be prominent. Arkansas, as good a program as it's been, and certainly as good as it was under Nolan Richardson, is still going to be in the shadows just because of the school, not the basketball, of all those SEC schools. Texas and Oklahoma are now there, Alabama and Auburn, and I just mean just the schools. Yeah, I think it's a good move if you can get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Angel Reese declared for the WNBA draft. We were talking about that. The Gators finally won a midweek game. They beat FAMU last night. Jack Toney with a 490-foot home run in the 7th. JJ, let us hear it.
Last weekend, they did not walk him to allow for the heroics, and there's some more of them. A no-doubter deep over the right field wall. And another jack for Jack. He's got the same number that's on his back. 14 of them. And the Gators have a 2-run lead.
People are going to see this. They're going to end up walking him the rest of his career.
Our buddy Jeff Cardozo on the call there. How close is he to best player of all time at Florida in baseball?
He probably will leave as that. Jeff Cardozo on the call. Our buddy Nick Belmonte was doing the color. It was a great call. No, he will leave as the best player in Florida history. The best home run hitter in Florida history was Matt Laporta. No one's going to catch those numbers. Now, he played at a really live bat era. I've always thought the best player in Florida history was Brad Wilkerson, who lives in Jacksonville now, by the way. He was a coach at JU, left JU to coach with the Yankees, is no longer there, so he's not coaching right now. I think Brad Wilkerson, I've always thought, is the best player in Florida history. I mean, he was a pitcher, he was a hitter, but Jack Toney will probably pass him and be the best player Florida's ever had.
All right, good stuff. Let's switch it to the entertainment world. This might help you out. It's always tough for me to come up with conversations sometimes with my wife. You want to engage.
You want to talk to your wife.
You want to talk to the but sometimes
she
it's like,
deserves that.
Yeah, sometimes I don't know,
what to say.
What to say.
Sure, I get it.
So this might help people out there, this bit of news.
This is self-help. You're trying to help people.
I'm trying to help.
It's all about the other people.
If it doesn't apply to you, then forgive me.
Love this.
So Grey's Anatomy just got renewed for a 21st season. A 21st season. It's the longest-running primetime medical drama ever.
Ever.
That's a very niche category, to be fair.
Yes, it is. Well, you got like ER,
You don't get ever all the time.
Yeah.
He dropped an ever. You just dropped ever on me.
21 seasons. Have you ever seen it?
I never have.
Okay, so I watched like the first maybe 6, 7 seasons with my then wife.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was good, but it
Did
kind
y'all
of felt.
talk at all?
Yeah,
That might be what went wrong.
I haven't mentioned
maybe,
it to her.
Okay, maybe that's what went wrong. I'm just saying. But go
That
ahead.
could
Please
be. And
continue.
but so we watched it for like the first 6 or 7 seasons, but even like we both felt like it was sort of running its course.
Okay.
So we stopped.
Yep.
It's 14 years beyond that. It's still going. So anyway, if your significant other is a big Grey's Anatomy fan, maybe you can give them some news that
I
they'll
think our own
appreciate.
Taylor Doll
Oh, okay.
is a big Grey's Anatomy.
All right.
Wasn't that? Is that the one? Was Patrick Dempsey on that?
He
like
was.
Early on? Okay.
Yeah.
So
He's been off of it for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just knew he was
But
on.
it's the same. What's
How about
always
that,
so
though?
Ellen Pompano
Yeah.
is the lead actress in it. She plays Meredith Grey.
Okay.
She's the girl in one of the girls in Old School.
Okay,
That's
right.
that's kind of with
Pompeo,
Luke
yeah.
Wilson.
Yeah.
So anyway, what a gig for her.
Yeah. How about that?
I mean,
yeah.
she goes and does a pilot, and it ends up being a 21 season.
How many shows?
Imagine the millions she's made doing Grey's Anatomy.
And I think hasn't Law and Order SVU's about 21 years, right?
It's got to be.
I think SVU. Again, we're old people watch that.
Yeah.
I'm an old person, so we watch it. But Grey's Anatomy. How about that?
Unbelievable. I want to say happy birthday to Eddie Murphy. Turned 63 today. I think one of the most brilliant comedic minds of my childhood. Obviously did Coming to America, Trading Places, Beverly Hills Cop, Harlem Nights. His stand-up specials, particularly Raw, are incredible. Obviously, he was an SNL alum. 63 today. It's weird. It doesn't feel like he's had anything lately that's really grabbed the public, but what an unbelievable run he had in the 80s and 90s.
I love when he was the barber. Frank Sinatra
yeah.
came in here. I said, how old was Joe Louis? 142 years old.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because I didn't even think of Nutty Professor where he plays like 5 roles in that and is hilarious.
Yeah.
So
Eddie Murphy's 60, though. Wow.
Eddie Murphy, 63 today. So
Speaking
happy
of
birthday.
a long time, SVU 25 seasons.
Yeah, 25. And Mariska Hargitay been in it the whole time. 25 years. I think I watched every episode.
That's awesome.
You know why?
Yeah.
Because they're old.
Yeah,
Old people watch SVU and Blood Bloods. I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah. All right. Let's get it to our flash. We got 2 flashbacks today. We will start with the Florida Gators. I promise this will not be a regular occurrence.
JJ, he's such a homer.
I promise.
He's got such a homer.
So just bear with me.
All right,
Give
I
me
love
one
this.
more of these,
Okay, I love
and then you don't have any more. But JJ, help us out.
Brewer puts it up from 3, and the Gators are on fire. Brewer dishes, Noah dunks, and the Gators just can't be stopped at that end. Right back out to Humphrey, puts up the 3, and good again.
Ed Holland saying no foul.
That's going to do it. They were almost flawless, a season low, 6 turnovers by the Gators. What a performance. The Gators, as good as it gets. Florida's the national champion.
Florida takes down UCLA 73-57 for its first national championship on this day in 2006.
I love that. I was there. By the way, I just want you to know, tomorrow Hays is going to play when Florida finished 8th in the NIT on this day.
Yeah.
No, I was there, man. I've said this before, Hays. I'm very serious about this. Those basketball championships were as magical as anything I ever attended. Any football event I ever attended, I really believe that. It was magic in Gatorland, no question.
No doubt about it. They were a 3 seed in that tournament, too, which made it even more improbable. All right, we'll get us out on this one. Also on this date, in 1989, Ken Griffey Jr. makes his Major League Baseball debut at the age of 19, doubled in his first at-bat.
How about that? And sometime that year played with his dad in the same outfit.
They both hit homers.
Pretty good stuff. Great work on the headlines. We'll take a break. 1 hour to go in the program. Don't forget now, in about 20 minutes now, the shout comes up. We want you to shout out, what do you think about Stephon Diggs to the Texans? Do you care? Do you think we're going to beat their butt anyway? Does it make them the best team in the South? Does it make them one of the best teams in the AFC? We'll ask you that. Not now. We're going to do some other stuff now, but that comes up at about 5:20. This is 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Of Baseball Radio,
1976 called it wants its hairstyle back.
decide for yourself. Watch 1010XL on YouTube. Search 1010XL Video, all one word, to see shows, podcasts, and more.
Mia here, and let me tell you about one of our area's best resorts, the Sawgrass Marriott Golf Resort and Spa. The Sawgrass Marriott is not only a great destination for a vacation, but it is also a great destination for dining on the Florida's first coast. 1912 Ocean Bar and Rooftop is now open on Ponte Vedra Boulevard, featuring Ponte Vedra's only oceanfront rooftop bar and lounge. Serving finely crafted cocktails and delectable eats, it's open daily from 4 to 10 with complimentary valet parking.
Tired of running out of hot water? It's probably time for a new water heater. Call Duck Duck Rooter, the plumbing pros who specialize in water heater installation and service, including tankless water heaters, gas or electric. Call us today for service. DuckDuckRooter.com.
Hey, sports fans, this is Hays Carlyon from MyBookie. If you're still in the hunt for a sports book to call home, bet the nonstop action of the madness with MyBookie. MyBookie is a one-stop shop for all your sports betting and casino needs, complete with a real-life Vegas experience right from the comfort of your phone. Take your viewing experience to the next level with real-time live betting that lets you stream and bet the games right from the MyBookie website. Sign up now and take advantage of a generous welcome bonus on your first deposit all the way up to $1,000. Put in $200, get $300 ready to play instantly using promo code 1010XL. And the fun doesn't stop there. You'll get up-to-the-minute odds, props, and this week's expert predictions to help you decide who to put your money on. The best part about MyBookie, you can bet on anything, anytime, from anywhere. Use promo code 1010XL to secure your welcome bonus today, only with MyBookie.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
If you are having problems related to selling your home, here's your solution. You just have not discovered ChadandSandy.com. That's ChadandSandy.com. Listen, maybe the problem is you need more space for your office or growing family, or perhaps you're worried about settling for less money with a lowball instant offer. We've got one guarantee here that always rings true. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. It's as simple as that. So you need to call 904-414-6200 or go to ChadandSandy.com like Jonathan in Mount Pleasant did. The only thing standing between me and my dream of traveling in my RV was the sale of my Mount Pleasant home. I heard Chad and Sandy on the radio and called. Crazy results. In just 3 days, I received multiple offers for full asking price. So you don't have the problems you think you do. You have solutions and promises with Chad and Sandy. Go to ChadandSandy.com or call 904-414-6200 at ChadandSandy.com.
Do you have clicking, popping, swelling, or pain in your knee or shoulder? This can be due to arthritic changes in your joints. Over time, you have wear and tear of your cartilage. I am Dr. George Bari, and here at Bari Orthopedics, we have numerous ways to treat your arthritis, such as regenerative medicine, including PRP and joint replacements with CT guidance for accuracy down to the millimeter. If you are experiencing any of these symptoms, call us for an appointment today, or log on to BariOrthopedics.com.
Find out more at BariOrthopedics.com. That's BAHRI Orthopedics.com.
If you owe the IRS and can't pay, now is the time to call J. David Tax Law. After a 2-year hiatus, the IRS has resumed their aggressive collections letters. Don't wait. Call J. David Tax Law or visit jdavidtaxlaw.com.
This is your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. I'm Andrew Gibson for 1010XL. This update brought to you by J. David Tax Law. ESPN's Laura Rutledge was a guest today of Helmets and Heels and explained her ranking of Trevor Lawrence among quarterbacks in the NFL.
I think the reason why I would say he ranked outside of the top 10, but maybe still in the top 15, depending on these guys that are going to get drafted, but let's call it top 15-ish for Trevor. It's because somehow it hasn't all clicked in the way that you would think that it would. And I say that because I think he is so supremely talented.
ESPN's Laura Rutledge on Helmets and Heels. It's 70 degrees at 5 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
It's a Ricketts Electric Wednesday on The Frangie Show. Ricketts Electric, the power connection you can trust.
Canham steps into it. Pass is caught. Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Vikings win it!
That was Stephon Diggs from the Vikings days before he was with the Bills. 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons. Last year, 1,183 yards and 8 touchdowns. The big year, his biggest touchdown year was a year before in 2022, 1,429 yards, 11 touchdowns. He did have a 1,500-yard season, 6 straight with 1,000 yards, 6 seasons, Hays, of 8 touchdowns or more. He's a good player. But I made the comment at the top, and I'll say it again, and this will be, by the way, will be my 10-10 take. Now, the 10-10 take is brought to you by Florida Victorious. Look, if you're a Gator fan going to the Orange and Blue game, make sure you're a Florida Victorious member before you go. Being a member gets you on the field after the game. You meet players like Graham Mertz, DJ Lagway, and all the rest. So join Florida Victorious. They're trying to help all those players stay in school. I can promise you that. They bring you the 10-10 take. My 10-10 take is Jaguar-related. I think Stephon Diggs is a good player. I said this at the top. I think he'll help the Texans. But the response and the reaction, not just from Jags fans, but from everybody, you would think the Jags were the Red Sox and they just traded Babe Ruth to the Yankees. He's great. This isn't Jerry Rice. This isn't Terrell Owens. This isn't Lynn Swann. It's a very good player on a team that was already pretty good offensively because of Tank Dell and Nico Collins catching passes from C.J. Stroud. I get that. But I don't think all of a sudden the world changes. They'll make some better. He's a good player and it makes him better. But I don't think the world changes as much as some suggested. Well, and that's the 10-10 take.
I completely agree. I was really worried Houston would get Justin Jefferson if the Vikings do decide just to launch into a full rebuild, because I think they have to worry about, are they really going to be able to hold him? You can franchise tag him, things like that, for a couple of years, but eventually you're going to have to get a deal done. And if he doesn't want to get a deal done, then you'll just get a comp third a year after he signs with his new team, where now if you trade Justin Jefferson, you probably could get, I would think, 2 1s and maybe 2 2s. I mean, a huge treasure trove. And I was afraid Houston would make that move. So I was actually relieved to see this. Stephon Diggs will be 31 in November. He averaged 11.1 yards a catch last year. So I think he's definitely on the tail end. Now, I still think Houston is really good. I thought that before they added Stephon Diggs. So, I mean, I get that he joins a team where he doesn't have to be the star. They've already got a couple of nice receivers there. So, I mean, it certainly makes Houston better, but I don't think it is some checkmate, game over kind of move where it greatly affects the Jaguars. I think they were going to go corner at 17 anyway. So I don't think there's going to be any sort of panic overreaction. I think corner had to be addressed. Ronald Darby is your starter right now opposite Tyson Campbell, and no offense, but I don't think that's good enough. I think they need to invest at that position, and so I think they were well on their way to doing that prior to Houston adding Stephon Diggs. So I mean, I think Houston's going to be really good, but I don't think this is the move that puts them into a whole other stratosphere of that. But I certainly have seen the reactions, and a lot of people believe that.
Let me say this, too, and we've lost sight of it. Now, again, we all know the Jags tumbled at the end of the season. Nobody debates that. But Houston came in here and beat Jacksonville in the 3rd week of the season. The Jags dropped to 1-2. It was 37-17. Houston really laid it to them, okay? The Jags then went on a run where they won 5 straight games, lost to San Francisco, beat Tennessee again, so it won 6 out of 7, and headed to Houston. Now, remember, this is after C.J. Stroud had been in the league a while. This is after he kind of had Hayes got his sea legs under him. So this wasn't a young team anymore. And the Jags went to Houston and won the game. I think we forget the 2 teams split last year. We also forget that even after that, even after losing 5 in a row after that, the Jags were still 1 game away from winning the division, not Houston winning it. This belief, and I say belief, I shouldn't say it's a belief, but it certainly seems as though this mindset that Houston is way better than Jacksonville is just a myth. Now, I hear you. You said you'd pick Houston to win the division if it was today. I'm not sure I would because they've got a tougher schedule. They've got the first-place schedule. My point is both teams are similar, and we act sometimes like, oh, my goodness, how in the world can those lowly Jags hang out or hang in there with the juggernaut Texans? I don't see it that way. I think they have a good team. And I understand they're upwardly mobile the same way the Jags were a year ago about to face that first-place schedule. But I don't think it's I think we've overreacted to how good some people believe the Texans might be.
Well, and I'll be honest, if the Bills had called the Jaguars about this deal, if I was Trent Baalke, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't give up a second-round pick in 2025 for a receiver who appears to be on the decline and have to pay him the money that you're going to have to pay him. Again, Buffalo knows what it's doing. Why would they take on a historical amount of dead money for a receiver when they've already lost Gabe Davis? Why would they do that? Get a second rounder that doesn't even come on the books until a year from now. Why would they do that unless they really wanted to say goodbye to Stephon Diggs? And I do think it's interesting because Nick Caserio, I watched him at the podium at the Combine in Indianapolis, and he was very adamant about we're looking for the right players. Yes, we've got a bunch of salary cap space, but I'm going to work with D'Amico, and it's got to be the right fit. We're not worrying about anything else other than will this player fit with us. I mean, I think you're taking a risk with Stephon Diggs. I mean, the Bills couldn't wait to get rid of him, obviously, because they're paying quite a price to not have them be on their team. So, again, if it's a move that I wouldn't want the Jaguars to make, by all means, Houston, make the deal. I mean, I'm not saying he's not a good player, but to invest the kind of money that you're going to have to with a player that, by all metrics, is in decline, I don't think it's a great move. And a second round pick in 25, that's not nothing. I mean, that is going to, you're probably looking at a top 50 pick, top 60 player. So I don't like the deal for Houston. I would not have made this deal if I was the Jaguars and the Bills had called. I still think Houston's very good, but I think this is a misstep.
There's this narrative out there, Hayes, whether we like it or not, at least in the minds of some, maybe not universally held, that the Texans are this upwardly mobile team with this great young quarterback in C.J. Stroud that's going to set record after record after record, and the Jags have a young quarterback in Trevor Lawrence that may be great and may not. That's the belief in the narrative with so many others. C.J. Stroud, this incredible young quarterback who's just going to light the world on fire, a la Patrick Mahomes, and Trevor, who's a good young player and might be okay, but he might not be nearly as good. It might not turn out as good as everybody thought. I think it's a bunch of bunk, but I mean, that narrative's out there. All right. Well, last year when they played a week before December, this isn't an early game, the Jags went out there and beat them. People tend to lose sight of that, but the Jags beat them. C.J. Stroud threw for 304 yards, 26 of 36, 304. Damn solid game, right? To well establish himself as one of those good young quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence threw for 364 yards. Trevor Lawrence threw for 60 more than C.J. Stroud. He was 23 of 38. You remember that? I mean, because nobody talks about that. Nobody says, oh, by the way, the Jags, the last time they played, not when everything was new, the last time, when both of them were about who you thought they were going to be, the Jags went to Houston, won the game. C.J. Stroud threw for 304 yards. Trevor Lawrence threw for 60 more than that, 364. And then Christian Kirk got hurt, and Cam Robinson was limping around, and Trevor got his fourth injury. Say what you want. Frankie's making excuses. Say what you want, but those things really, I'm not making it up. Those things really happen. But you see my point? People forget Trevor outpassed him 364 to 304 and won the game head-to-head, yet all this talk is that C.J. Stroud, and I was a big Stroud guy coming out of college, but I don't think he's going to be a better player over the course of his career than Trevor Lawrence. I know everybody else does. I don't believe that. Call me crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could share your confidence. I mean, I still am confident about Trevor being good, but I do think you have to worry about C.J. Stroud being elite.
Yeah, is there a chance they're both elite? I guess that's what believe me. I think C.J. Stroud's really. Don't get me wrong. C.J. Stroud's really good. This isn't a knock on C.J. Stroud. He's really good. I think he's going to be elite. I think we've just written off Trevor as not elite, and I'm not going to go there yet.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that either. I mean, I think he's got to play better, but I believe he can, and I don't think there's this chasm between Houston and Jacksonville, but I do think Houston on paper is better than Jacksonville right now. It's not by much. Maybe the first place schedule does help the Jaguars make up that ground. We've broken down the 3 games that are different, and I think you'd have to say it favors the Jags by about a game and a half in terms of the opponents they play versus who the Texans play. But, I mean, the Jaguars also have 7 games in Jacksonville and 10 that are in a different city. Houston isn't going to have to deal with that. They'll have 8 games in Houston and 9 games on the road. So, the schedule somewhat balances out from that standpoint. I think C.J. Stroud is going to be elite. Could he have a sophomore slump? Sure. I mean, I guess it's certainly possible, but he just seems so unflappable and accurate, and it doesn't seem like, unless he gets hurt, that there's any sort of decline coming. Could opposing defensive coordinators figure something out watching him on film this offseason, as I'm sure they're doing? Maybe, and hopefully that happens. And hopefully Ryan Nielsen's the one that is able to really lead the charge on that. But yeah, I mean, I think you'd have to say C.J. Stroud is further ahead than Trevor Lawrence. I mean, it doesn't mean that Trevor Lawrence can't get beyond C.J. Stroud in coming years, but I mean,
I think C.J. Stroud had a better year than Trevor Lawrence. C.J. Stroud is really good, really good. And by the way, I'll be in the minority here because everybody thinks he's going to be elite and they're not sure on Trevor. I understand that. But here's what I will tell you. C.J. Stroud, and by the way, Trevor's got to quit turning the ball over. He led the league in turnovers with 21. That's not because of injuries or because that's because he's got to do better at that. But C.J. Stroud was better than Trevor Lawrence last year in a year where Trevor had 4 injuries, a knee, an ankle, a shoulder, and a concussion. And by the way, C.J. Stroud missed a couple games with a concussion too. Let's be fair here. But Trevor missed 4 games missed games and practice time with 4 injuries, lost his best receiver for the year with about 7 or 8 weeks to play, and had one of his other good receivers, Zay Jones, never really be healthy all year long. So my point is, again, I'm not saying Trevor's way better than C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud is a really good player. Nobody would debate that. But I'm just not ready to say that Trevor's not. And so, am I being a homer? Yeah, probably. It is my opinion.
I think it's, yeah. I mean, I'd be surprised if there's people that believe Trevor Lawrence this is all he is, and he's just going to be an average, forgettable quarterback in the NFL. I still think most clubs would like to have Trevor Lawrence as their starter. So to me, I'm comparing one player who I view as been an A+ since he entered the league in C.J. Stroud.
Agreed.
With a player that I think has probably been more of like a B+ since he's entered the league. Because I do think Trevor Lawrence has been handed a bad hand of cards, for a variety of reasons, starting with Urban Meyer all the way through what you mentioned this past season with injuries around him and his own injury situation, not being able to practice fully. So, there's other things involved, but I think for me, it's A+ versus B+ right now, and you hope that Trevor can become an A+ player.
Yeah, and so we'll see. By the way, you hit this on your headlines. The referendum that got turned down to build new stadiums from the Royals and the Chiefs, that's going to be a very interesting story. Because, number one, why would you said this, so I don't want to repeat ourselves, but why would you ever offer a referendum?
Can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, why would you? And
unless you want the team to leave.
Here's why it'll always fail. And it doesn't have to be just a football referendum. Symphony and opera and movies will all fail because there's always going to be more than half the people that don't participate, that don't like that. So it's always going to fail.
You could have a public referendum where they are going to put the Louvre in downtown Jacksonville.
Right.
And it will fail.
Correct.
Just like it would fail if you did it in Kansas City or in New York or in any whatever it is. And obviously, would it make your city better to have the Louvre if for whatever reason Paris was like, hey, we don't want this anymore, we'll ship it to you? Yeah, obviously it would make your city better to have the Louvre. But are 50.1% of the population that votes going to vote for it? No, they're not. They're not going to vote for anything like that because everything that's entertainment in our world is niche to some degree. There is nothing, even Star Wars, there is nothing that over 50% of the public loves when it comes to entertainment. And so it's silly. You've got to be a strong leader, and you've got to say, this is what's best for our city. This is a 25-year investment, and we're getting it done. We're not going to let one of our, and in our case, our best asset, leave the city.
By the way, one other story in football. Have you followed the Rashee Rice story at all?
Yeah, I saw he released a statement of apology today. But boy, that was he's lucky to be alive.
I mean, he really is, and you can't flee. You know.
Yeah, and when I say that, I mean there's a lot of. Yeah. I mean, that was a massive error in judgment on his part.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder where's that thing headed? Where do you think?
He's got to be suspended. I mean, I'd be shocked if you see him play until Halloween, and that's if I think everything goes well for him. I mean, obviously he's got a massive legal entanglement that he's got to work through as well. I mean, I can't imagine that this is just a slap on the wrist kind of situation. I would think you're dealing with some serious charges.
He was drag racing his car, going incredible miles an hour, and then when the crash happened and got pulled over, he took off, which you can't do. You can't leave the scene. And they were in pursuit of him about 2 or 3 days, right, before he turned himself in.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, interesting story. All right, we're gonna keep it on football. It's time for you to shout. We're giving away a "I Had the Best Shout of the Day" T-shirt for the best shout, but you got to do it in 20 seconds. That's the rules around here. What do you think of the Stephon Diggs deal? Are you worried? Are you not worried? Are the Jags better, still better? Are they worse? What does this mean to you? Call us at 641-1010. You've got 20 seconds when we call your name to make the best points you can. Best shout of the day is a brand new T-shirt.
And Sebastian, you still have 20 seconds to finish your Dan Cross story.
Back in a moment. This is 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
The NBA is on 1010XL.
It's Wednesday night in Nolens. The Magic and Pelicans tonight at 7:30 on 1010 AM.
Hi, folks. I'm Frank Frangie for Ricketts Electric. Now, any good lineup needs power. When I needed a power connection for our new Walk-Off Charities baseball park, I found the perfect partner in Ricketts Electric. You're going to love these guys, I'm telling you. The Ricketts family has been providing commercial and residential electric service for years. So call my buddy Zach Ricketts today at 904-320-5960, and you can find them on Facebook as well. You will trust them. That's Ricketts Electric, the city's best power connection. Call them today at 320-5960.
This is Hays Carlyon for QC Kinetics. The future of medicine is here at QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in the most exciting, revolutionary pain management that we've seen in decades. Regenerative medicine. If you were tired of achy joints, if your joint pain is keeping you from doing what you love, you need to call QC Kinetics right now. They've got 2 great locations in the Jacksonville area, Mandarin and Ponte Vedra. Call them for a free consultation at 904-274-5522. They have availabilities. You can get in, go see them this week. Again, Mandarin and Ponte Vedra. QC Kinetics is leading the field in this work. No downtime, no surgery. For that pain in your hips, your shoulders, your knees, this is a solution for you. We're talking natural biologics using your body's own power. Give them a call today, 904-274-5522 in Mandarin and Ponte Vedra Beach. That's QC Kinetics.
Are you thinking about upgrading your outdoor space with turf? Well, you'll love working with Caleb at Sunshine Turf. Genuine, always on time and trustworthy. Frank Frangie here. Look, we had Sunshine Turf design and install turf at the Bragan Baseball Complex. Man, it's gorgeous and it's maintenance-free. From putting greens to practice areas for kids' sports to pet runs to surrounding your pool, there's endless possibilities at Sunshine. So visit sunshineturf.info or give Caleb a call today at 904-892-0580 for Sunshine Turf.
This is Richard Miller with your Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles Update. Early last month, Prism Racing NASCAR was released, and the hobby boxes have been a hit with the NASCAR season underway. For the hobby box, you're chasing autographs and checkered flag Prism cards. Enjoy a race day with Prism NASCAR. It's Showtime. Sports Cards and Collectibles. Update your collection.
Your home for the best Jags coverage. 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Frank Frangie here for South State Bank. Look, I depend on South State for so many things: personal accounts, small business banking, and banking for our nonprofit. South State Bank can help you reach all your financial goals too, whether you're just starting out or focused on financial planning. South State offers convenience with their online and mobile banking. You should check out South State Bank, as they were recently recognized by Forbes as one of America's best banks. That's South State, banking forward. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Lauren Brooks here from Mayport CNC Fisheries. Growing up at the beach, I know good shrimp and oysters when I see them. They're local and they're fresh. That's why Mayport CNC Fisheries is my go-to for both. They have local shrimp in stock 7 days a week. Eat like a local at Mayport CNC Fisheries.
Gator fans, get ready. The Orange and Blue game is back on Saturday, April 13th at 1 p.m. in the Swamp, and entry is free. This year, Florida Victorious is proud to sponsor the game, and we have tons of new excitement in store for you. Like our player meet and greet and autograph session after the game on Steve Spurrier Field. As a member of Florida Victorious, you can visit with players on the team, including Mertz and Legway. Don't miss out on FanFest, which begins at 10 a.m. on the North Lawn. Visit the Florida Victorious tent to learn more about the team and membership benefits, and also meet Gator student athletes. Join us for the chance to win a brand new Chevy Silverado on the field. Brought to you by Southern Chevy Dealers and Florida Victorious. Learn more about Florida Victorious and become a member at floridavictorious.com. And help us make Florida victorious.
Are you 18 years or older, just got married, just got divorced, or have children? Listen up. Have you done your last will and estate planning? You have questions? Call Matt Hinson with the Hinson Law Firm. Reach him at 527-1700, offices Jacksonville, Florida. And don't let the state decide your fate.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
You know you make me wanna.
Time to shout. Woo! Looking for the best shouter of the day. Woo! But you have to do it in 20 seconds, so let's shout.
I love this. Come on, Carlyon. The best shouter of the day is what we're looking for. The topic is, so the Texans now have Stephon Diggs. Does it worry you? It doesn't worry me as much as it does everybody else, it sounds like. But what about you? Let's see. You got 20 seconds, and then you hear the buzzer. Robert, you're up first. Go ahead.
To quote Bill Murray from the movie Stripes, talking to Sergeant Holka, I think it sucks.
First of all, great call. Secondly, who didn't love Holcomb? Sergeant Holcomb in the big toe.
I'd like to take a big swing at you, Sergeant Holcomb.
Oh, that was fantastic. Jackie, you're up next. Jackie, go ahead.
Yeah, Duval gonna do it to Diggs.
Okay. That was quick. Very nice.
Yeah, you have 20 seconds.
Yeah, not 5 seconds.
Yeah, so you can go a little long, but
lighten up, Francis. You got 20 seconds. How do you feel about Stephon Diggs to the Texans? We're trying to give away a Best Shout of the Day T-shirt. Bill G's up next. Hey, Bill.
Hey, Frank.
Hey.
Make that trade with San Francisco that I thought was too expensive until today. Secondly, I listened to your broadcast of the game. Prefer it over the TV. If you make a good call, I can run out and see it on my back porch on the TV.
I like it. I like it, Bill. First of all,
I think he wants Ayuk, which
and by the way,
would be awesome.
The damn fine strategy in terms of
he was listening 2 days ago.
Yes, he was. Damn fine strategy is what that was. 641-1010, got a lot of room for you if you want to join us. The question is, Stephon Diggs now plays for Houston. Does that bother you? Does it concern you? How do you feel about it? Duncan, you're up next. Hey, Duncan.
Hey, so I've been a Jaguars fan my whole life. I'm born and raised in Jacksonville, and it's frustrating being a Jags fan, but if they don't go out and get someone like Ayuk or someone from the draft like DK Metcalf, I'm just seeing the same shit over and over again like we did years ago, and I'm just frustrated. And then they stop dragging their feet.
All right, Duncan, appreciate it. Let's go to RJ, who's up next. RJ, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm from Tampa. My first thought is that we need to address our cornerback and our defense. And honestly, let's just play out. I mean, who knows what's going to work out with this trade?
All right, RJ, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Appreciate you weighing in there.
Yeah, I mean, look, I still think they're going to go defense. I thought that before this trade was made, and I would be surprised if 2 of their first 3 picks in this draft are not on the defensive side of the ball.
641-1010 is our number. Our topic today, the shout of the day we're looking for, is Stephon Diggs now plays for the Houston Texans. How do you feel about that? Let's go to Brian, who's up next. Hello, Brian.
Hey, in the words of Judge Smales from Caddyshack, you'll get nothing and like it.
Get your foot off the boat, Spalding.
Brian, thank you very much. All right. That's 2 good movies, though.
Stripes and Caddyshack.
2 of my favorites, I will say that. Well done. Let's go to, I think, Greg joins us now on the program. Hey, Greg.
Hey, guys. Listen, I've got some old wounds from Stephon Diggs. I'm a converted Saints fan, and the Minneapolis Miracle left me devastated, and it almost took my soul. And today was almost like reopening those scars. It's a bad day for Jacksonville, guys.
Greg, thank you for the call. Well, points well made. Boy, that's a good, solid call there, if that's how you feel. Let's go to Mike N. Hey, Mike N.
Hey, guys, how you doing? I'm a diehard Jacksonville fan who lives in Dallas, and I just don't like the trade. I don't think Stephon Diggs is all that. I don't like it because much right now as far as bringing in some good players. I think our quarterback is better than theirs, but he's got to.
All right, so you get 20 seconds. I think our quarterback.
That was good, though. He doesn't like he thinks Houston made a mistake.
Yeah, and listen, I'll say it again. C.J. Stroud's really good. Trevor Lawrence outpassed him 364 to 304 when they played in Houston, and nobody remembers that. You see my point about that? Hey, nobody remembers. Right. Nobody remembers that. Our topic today on the best shout of the day, we're looking for the shout. How do you feel about the Houston trade? PJ is up next. Hey, PJ.
How y'all doing? First of all, I don't care who the Houston Texans get. Wide receiver, quarterback, it doesn't matter. The Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be better next year because we got a better defense, and we're just going to take it to the house, man. It don't matter. Stephon Diggs, whoever you want to get.
All right. I like that one.
Yeah,
I like that one. PJ got my attention. Well done, PJ. Nicely done. He said, it don't matter. It don't matter, Hays.
It doesn't
Maybe
matter.
You don't
on
realize
Stephon
it doesn't
Diggs.
matter.
It would have mattered had they gotten Justin Jefferson.
But they didn't.
But they didn't.
He said PJ said it didn't matter who they got. Let's go to Kirk, who joins us now on the program. Hello, Kirk.
Hey, guys. Love the new format. I've been a fan since November 30th, 1993. It's simply football! The Jags are going to jag. You never know. They're going to go up. They're going to down. But they will always make it interesting. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you, Dirk. Kirk. Kirk gave us our first Duval of the shout season, did he not?
He did.
Let's get in a couple more of these. Our callers have been fan. By the way, let me shout out to the callers since we started this. My show has not taken callers in a long time. First time in a while we've done this. Callers been great.
Oh,
you guys have done you guys have responded. Thank you for this. You've responded to our kind of the new format in the program here, and we've had a blast doing it. Jaguar Greg joins us now. Greg, you got 20 seconds.
All right, I'm not worried about Stephon either. Second he doesn't get a ball thrown his way, he's going to be crying like a little baby and stirring it up. So that's fine with me.
Very good.
Yeah,
Very
I think
good.
he's right.
That's high on the list.
Houston seemed like they had really good chemistry last year, and it was sort of a big part of why they were able to surprise people. And you're bringing in a guy who he does not lend himself to that.
Right.
So, I mean, we'll see, but it absolutely could change their locker room.
Let's squeeze in just a few more of these. How do you feel about the trade? Mike A. joins us now. Hey, Mike.
Hey, I think a lot of these guys are missing the point. Affects us zero. Anytime you bring that petulant me-first attitude to a division rival, that's good for the Jags. If you look back when they changed coordinators in Week 6, he didn't have a 100-yard game after that. Dude is washed. Duval!
Well done. I like all the Duvals, by the way. They've gotten my attention. And I like the fact that Jaguar fan isn't as worried now coming down the stretch. I'm glad. A couple were, but most weren't. 2 or 3 more of these. How do you feel about it? This is our shout segment, and you've done a great job shouting out. Patrick, you're up next. Go.
Hey, guys. I was in London for the Bills-Jaguar game, and I didn't see anything out of Stephon that separates him from any other wide receiver. Jags to the Super Bowl. Woo!
I like it, Patrick. Well done. JJ, let's do about 2 or 3 more of these. Let's go to Jeff. You're up next. Jeff, go ahead. You got 20 seconds. Jeff, you're up. Jeff, you're gone. Let's get in Chris H., our last caller. Chris H. Chris, you got 20 seconds. Go.
Well, let's make it count, boys. Born and raised in Jacksonville, you got to learn how to embrace the suck. But with the 29th pick in the NFL draft, we're taking Taven Bryan, baby.
Well done, Chris. That's all the callers we have time for. I know it's still ringing. Thank you very much. We've got some names now. We are going to have to decide. Listen, this isn't going to be easy.
It's 14 callers.
14 callers, and we could have kept going, but we were kind of running out of time here. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we will wrap the program. We'll also let you know who's getting a brand new I Had the Best Shout of the Day T-shirt. You were fantastic, by the way. Nice work by all of our callers. Back in a moment. This is 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
It's the ride home with the Frangie Show from the Harold & Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
This is Brent Musburger's Action Update, brought to you by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
The latest odds for the men's Final Four, which will take place on Saturday in Phoenix, Arizona. The top seed in the Midwest region, the Purdue Boilermakers, are a 9.5-point favorite over the NC State Wolfpack. Both teams have not been to the Final Four since the early 80s. Purdue minus 450 on the money line. NC State plus 350 with an over-under of 146.5. UConn, the defending national champions, taking on Alabama, making their first ever Final Four appearance. The Huskies an 11.5-point favorite, minus 800 on the money line. Alabama plus 540. This update brought to you by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning, a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm Tony Desiri with your VSiN Action Update on 1010XL.
Attention all business owners. The raining season is coming, and it's important to ensure that your property storm drains are free from debris and functioning properly. That's where Duck Duck Rooter comes in. Our powerful VacCon truck can effectively clean out your storm drains and prevent costly damage to your property from flooding. Don't let clogged storm drains ruin your business and reputation. Call Duck Duck Rooter today to schedule a cleaning before the rains hit. 904-862-6769 or online at duckduckrooter.com.
What makes a Honda certified pre-owned vehicle so special? 182-point inspection, 24/7 roadside assistance, first-year free oil changes, and a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty for carefree driving backed by American Honda. Visit your local Honda dealer today.
I'm Holt Harrell with Harrell & Harrell. Choosing a law firm after an accident is an important decision. With so many messages, we know it can all sound the same. At Harrell & Harrell, we believe what sets us apart is our commitment to you. We'll help you find doctors to get you better, and we'll work hard to maximize any recovery. Visit our website and look at our reviews to see how we've helped people just like you make this important decision. Harrell & Harrell. Offices, Jacksonville.
After consulting with several orthopedic specialists about my constant knee pain, I chose Southeast Orthopedic Specialist and Dr. Chris Swanson to handle my surgery. Their professionalism let me know this team was the one for me. The surgery was very successful, and if I ever have a future need, I'll continue to trust Southeast Orthopedic Specialists to take care of me.
Relieve pain and get back to life. SOS. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Hacker here. You know, there was a time when negative comments on social media about my weight just faded into the background. I got so used to seeing them. However, in just 5 weeks, everything has taken a 180. I now notice comments about my weight again because they're completely different. Thanks to dropping a whopping 40 pounds already with Awaken 180. People are noticing and rooting me on. It feels absolutely incredible. I'm diving back into clothes I haven't worn in 15 years, turning back time while losing 5 pounds a week, thanks to Awaken 180 weight loss. I have a whole new outlook on life. I've been down other weight loss roads before, but nothing compares to this. The shift from not noticing the negative to embracing the positive has been profound. So what are you waiting for? Join me on this transformation with Awaken 180. Call 844-346-1800. That's 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Start your Sunday off with a cup of Joe and some sports medicine intel. This is Joe C. inviting you to join me and Dr. George Bari for Breaking Bones every Sunday morning at 7:30. And if you miss an episode, just look for Breaking Bones wherever you listen to podcasts.
Race into Gate for big offers. By big, we mean great deals on Red Bull and a chance to win tickets to the big race coming to Miami May 3rd through 5th. Buy 2 8.4-ounce cans of Red Bull, get one free. And if you're a MyGate Rewards member, you are automatically entered for a chance to win race tickets. Not a member? Download the Gate app and sign up today. See store for details. Go from good to Gate.
This is Joe C. from XL Primetime and stoked to crank up the 9 after 5 once again at the Golf Club of Southampton. Every Wednesday, a little after 5, the gang at Southampton will be hosting us with a new game, and I'm inviting you to be a part of it. Now, through the summer stretch, break up the week with a little hump day fun every Wednesday. Call 287-PLAY to get on the tee sheet. There'll be food afterwards and prizes, including playing for a membership at the Golf Club of Southampton. Call 287-PLAY and hit the tee with Joe C.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous, don't be scared. Go to carlsondentalgroup.com. That's carlsondentalgroup.com for all of your dental needs.
The time to buy an emergency generator is before you need it, not when you're sitting in the dark. Storms happen in a hurry in Florida, so be prepared. Protect your family and property with American Electrical Contracting. Call them today, 737-7770.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
It's a Ricketts Electric Wednesday on The Frangie Show. Ricketts Electric, the power connection you can trust.
We'll tell you in about 7-8 minutes who won. The judges are still tabulating.
Yeah, it's close.
The Russian judge is very tough.
The Russian judge is always tough. So the judges are still tabulating.
That judge also might be a spy. We're kind of looking into that as well.
Well, there's a lot of word that the Russian judges and spies kind of work together. I don't think there's any question about that. Did you know there's going to be a new NIT next year?
A new NIT?
It's the College Basketball Crown. So hey, stay with me.
How about that?
Let me finish the story before you all chuckle.
I'm
at my
already
very important
enthralled.
story.
Yeah.
So, but Fox is going to televise it like real Fox, and they said
not a Fox.
No, not a Fox. But it's going to be in Vegas.
Well, that's a good start.
Well, here's my thinking on this. Why wouldn't you just pay people to play in it? I mean, why wouldn't you just create an NIL and any team that plays in it? Well, can you do that? I mean, I'm serious. I mean, can you? I mean, today, can't you pay anybody today in college athletics?
Yeah, I mean,
so what if you said, we'll be a sponsor. AEG is going to be the sponsor of the tournament. Fox is going to have it. So anybody that doesn't qualify for the NCAA tournament is eligible. Okay. AEG is going to pay every team $100,000 or whatever, and every player gets $10,000. Wouldn't everybody then play?
I would think.
I mean, not that I care that much who plays in the NIT at Hinkle Fieldhouse.
Right.
So
this is a new version of the
NIT?
NIT?
Yeah, it's not the NIT. It's trying to compete with the NIT.
It's exciting.
There's no question. But wouldn't you just pay them? I mean, can't you pay anybody now for anything?
You could certainly pay them, yes. Absolutely you could. Yeah, I mean, wasn't there for a while we had the CBI that sort of
I think it still exists.
Does it still exists too?
But that's people, they weren't trying to compete with the NIT. They were ones that weren't even good enough to make the NIT with the CBI. I think this one is trying to, because nobody cares about the NIT anymore.
Yeah.
So they figure that's where there's a window. So anyway,
it's interesting.
Pay them. Speaking of college basketball, Riley Kugel.
All I know is Todd Golden better not be in this thing.
Riley Kugel's going to Kansas.
Yeah. He's a Kansas athlete.
You know, and by the way, he listed his schools. It was all the big hitters.
When he listed him, I was like, wow.
Yeah, I mean.
That's a surprise.
I mean, and so he said he's going to Kansas. Is it as a scholarship player? I'm not trying to be mean here, but Bill Self said, yeah, I'm going to give one of my 13 scholarships to Riley. Kansas. I'm giving one of my 13 scholarships to Riley Kugel. I'm not trying to rip the kid. I don't mean it that way. But Bill Self said, I got 13 and one's going to Riley Kugel.
I was surprised, too. I saw one list that was ranking the best players in the portal, and this list had Kugel maybe like 39th, somewhere in there. So he was mentioned, but low. I was surprised as well. The only thing I can think of is obviously from an athleticism standpoint.
Yeah, it's in there.
He's everything that you'd want. And so my guess is that Bill Self is looking at it and saying our system will fit him better than Todd Golden's.
Yeah.
And who knows, they may view Riley Kugel as a guy that's going to play 14 minutes off the bench for them. I don't know what they've promised him and things like that. But I will say I was surprised because his list was, to your point, it was like all heavy hitters.
Yeah. Now,
I mean, it wasn't like Kansas and then three schools that barely resonate. It was Kansas and three. I can't remember which ones.
Kentucky, I think.
I don't think it was Kentucky, but they were all like all excellent basketball programs.
Because I will tell you this too, he's got the ability. He's a great build, great athlete, can jump out of the gym, got a soft touch when he shoots. But Hazy I'm not sure he knows how to play. He fires those no-look passes off people's hands all the time. When you can tell a guy that plays with an authoritative style when he catches the ball. Riley Kugel catches. We watch every dribble of Florida basketball, right?
Right.
When he catches the pass, he's not sure what to do. That is very clear. He's the most non-decisive player. I'll say this about Will Richard, who's not nearly the athlete or the talent that Riley Kugel is. It's not even close. But Will Richard pretty much knows what to do the minute he touches it. If you got to look, he's going to shoot it. If not, it's a quick. It's just Riley Kugel doesn't know what to do when the ball hits his hands.
Yeah.
He's not sure what to do.
Kugel's 4 that he tweeted out March 28th, Kansas, obviously, which is where he ended up. The other 3, Arizona, UConn, and Houston.
I mean, good Lord.
So a 1 seed, a 1 seed, and a 2 seed.
I mean that's
and Kansas.
I mean, so
obviously he got. I think it's just the athleticism is impressive. He's had moments in college where he's looked like he can be a dominant player more 2 years ago than last year.
He did, and I'll say this. Here's what's weird. At the end of his freshman year, he didn't have to deal with that. Wasn't sure what to do because there were no other good players. Catch it and shoot it. Catch it and go dunk. You didn't have to worry about throwing a bad pass. You know why? Because there's no one to pass it to. When Castleton got hurt, there was nobody left to catch the passes, so he just took it. And
maybe that's the belief, is if you play a system where it's basically just grab the ball and go up the court and drive, he's great.
Chris Harry, when we had Chris Harry on the show, he even said that the week before. He said, if Riley would just take it and go, not do a no-look pass, not hold the ball and try and decide and try to read the defense, just take it and go. So you can tell, my guess is, because Chris is probably close to Todd Golden, I'm guessing the staff probably told him that's what we need him to do. Take it and go. And so, I mean, it was really interesting.
Yeah. So I was surprised.
I hope he does great, by the way.
Yeah, I hope he does great at Kansas,
Yeah.
and it'll be interesting to follow. He's a good defender, so maybe that also plays into it. Maybe Kansas is looking at it like, he's going to be more of a lockdown defender for us and more of a supporting offensive player. I mean, who knows? But I was surprised that he ended up there. And Florida is starting. We joked about this last year when it was like Florida was mentioned with every player that entered the portal. You kept seeing a tweet. Todd Golden has reached out to, Mr. X who just entered the portal, because at the time it was like 275 names, so it became kind of a running joke with us. Well, he ended up doing a great job, and you're starting to now see Florida getting more targeting who they're going after. Obviously, they don't need as many players as they did this time last year. But still, it's a really important time. He's got to find replacements for
and he will.
Pulling in Sammy. Oh yeah,
the Oregon State point guards. What everybody says they're going to get. He was going to go to San Francisco, and then when Golden got the Florida job, he wound up going to Oregon State. He went for 18 a game this year, so he's obviously a scoring point guard. So, but that's what it'll be. Here's what you do know: for at least one more year, Todd Golden's going to fill out his team with some transfers.
How do you handle hand logged in if you're Golden? Because you don't really know when you're going to have him back. So do you build this current team on the idea that he's a reserve and you may not have him, or do you try and go? Do you assume that hand logged in's your center and you don't really have to be overly active there?
The beauty of your roster is you've got a big team anyway. It's not like this is Castleton's year when he was the only big guy you had. So I would think hand logged in's their center. I know Chris came on and said he wasn't sure. It was such a severe injury. You don't know when he'll be back. I would be a little surprised. It was a break. Now, it was an awful break. I'd be a little surprised if come conference season next year in January, he's not pretty healthy.
That's what I would think.
I mean, he broke his leg.
Yeah.
He broke his leg in March. I'd be surprised if 10 months later he's not. Now, who knows? So we'll see. But I would. So it's a great question. What do they do? But Condon's their center. If not, the intriguing thing is if he is back and healthy, I think it's Logton and Condon together, which essentially is 2 7-footers.
Yeah.
Not many people have that. Houck will play some, but I'm guessing those two will be the starters. But those three are all going to be back on the team. Will Richards going to be back on the team. I think Denzel Aberdeen will be, although he could still be a 6-man, so he could leave. But I think the rest of the team this year will be filled out by transfers because I think that's where we are.
What are you hearing about Clayton?
Yeah, I think I can't imagine. I'm not hearing anything. I don't want to misrepresent it. I can't imagine he would come back. Now, I don't think he's going anywhere else. If he plays college, I think he loved it there. And he loved being a Gator, and he grew up a Gator. But when's he ever going to be hotter than he is now? And I don't follow the NBA draft. I don't know who else is in it. But when is he ever going to be hot? When is he ever going to be hotter than he is right now?
And this is where the NIL component comes in, because I don't think Walter Clayton is, at best, I think he's getting drafted kind of late second, if he gets drafted at all. And
I agree with that.
And so again, this is where the NIL world might help you if you're Florida, because you might be able to put something together that makes it financially attractive for him to stay another year and and put off playing overseas. I don't think he's playing in the NBA. He's a great college player.
Yeah.
But there's Walter Clayton's are I'd say at the NBA level a dime a dozen.
Yeah. So that's right. But this, if you want to play another year, and by the way, that's where NIL kicks in. If you say you make some money. So by the way, Robert is our winner. Congratulations to Robert.
Well done, Robert.
Robert, right out of the gate, did a fantastic job.
The one horse.
Robert is the shout. He had the shout of the day. Robert, you'll get a phone call how to come get your shout of the day T-shirt.
Love the Stripes reference.
Oh, there's no question. Right? You make a good movie reference out of the gate.
That's pretty good.
You have a pretty good chance. No question about it. Folks, that is our program. Thanks for being part of it. We'll see you tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. Don't go anywhere. Rick Ballou comes up right now. For Hays and JJ, I'm Frank Frangie. So long.